Hello everyone, and welcome to Drugstore Culture's Vodcast number 7. I'm Matthew Doncona, I'm the editor-in-chief, and joined by Olive Pometsey, our assistant editor, and we thought we'd talk about non-political issues.
Yes.
Try and get a kind of nice remedial change from the horrors of conference season. And I have to say, I went to see A Star Is Born last night. Completely and utterly blown away by it. I think it's one of the best movies that I've seen all year, and it's a lock for lots of nominations. Reminded me of two things. One was Pam Hutchison's fantastic piece on how it fits in for us and to how it fits into the previous iterations of A Star Is Born. I think it's, myself, one of the greatest. And also I was amused by how early you got, Olive, to the fact that Lady Gaga's fans were trying to spike the chances of Venom, which is also opening this weekend.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, so Lady Gaga's fans, the little monsters, they took to Twitter to post fake reviews of Venom. When the social media embargo for reviews of Venom lifted, they thought it'd be good to create fake accounts and create fake bad reviews so that people wouldn't go see Venom and would go see A Star Is Born instead.
And it seems, has it worked? I mean,
I think it worked for this. I mean, like Venom was trending like for ages, and then suddenly Lady Gaga started trending.
yes.
So then I was like, what's going on here? Yeah, I mean, fandoms are crazy online. They don't
Yes.
do anything to...
I have to say, having seen the film, I really don't think it needs any help. But
Yeah.
and one of the things that's amazing about it is how persuasive she is at the beginning as a non-star. You know, she's a brunette. She's working a hard job in a kitchen. She's got a sort of part-time singing job in a drag show just for fun, and then she's plucked from obscurity by Bradley Cooper. It's an amazing performance. Are you going to go and see it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to see it. I mean, I was a really big Lady Gaga fan back in the day. I mean, I still am a fan, but back when she first came out, I was a huge, huge fan. And I guess the story kind of resembles her own story a little bit, because she kind of worked hard for ages to try and make a name for herself, that she would be performing in drag bars. I think she had a friend called like Lady Firecracker or something like that, and they would go around drag bars, and then she would like write songs for other people the whole time. So I guess maybe that's why she worked so well in the role, because...
And I mean, I've never thought of her as a singer-songwriter, to be honest. Still less as a country and western singer, but her voice is amazing. There are one or two numbers in the film which I think are all classics, like Shallow, which will just be remembered for a very long time. It's an extraordinary film. There's so much going on in the cultural world. I mean, we've got leading the site Thomas McMullen's piece on Laurie Anderson, and you were talking earlier about the sort of possibilities of virtual reality.
Yeah, because she's unique VR exhibition. She's done the Chalk Room and To the Moon, where I mean, obviously everyone knows about VR. You can like do VR video games, but I think it's really interesting in the art world, being able to be taken to kind of worlds that don't even exist.
Yes.
And kind of aren't there for us to, interact with. It's just there to view and make you think. And I mean, the exhibition that Thomas McMullen writes about apparently makes people cry, because you're drifting away from space. You're just drifting around in space.
Yes.
So yeah, it's interesting.
It's in Brighton, isn't it? The installation.
Yeah,
it is.
Brighton Digital Festival.
She's an amazing figure, I think. She's one of these people. I mean, people might remember her for Superman, which is many decades ago, but and then as Lou Reed's partner in the last stages of his life. But she says in the interview that she still gets a kick out of being part of the avant-garde, and I really like that.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of admirable, because I think that VR, as you imply, is probably just as creatively interesting as it is technologically, and everyone has assumed that we'll all be in VR cinemas and that its only application is gaming. But actually it's really interesting to see artists using it now.
And there must be so much detail that goes into it to be able to create a world where you can look around and
Yes.
there's art all around you. Like, I cannot imagine how you go about creating something like that.
If our colleague Pete Hoskin were here, he would, I'm sure, say that this is going to transform gaming as well.
Yeah.
I think he's right, actually, that the what non-gamers understand by gaming is absolutely not what it's now acquiring this kind of narrative force and beauty, that aesthetic quality that VR is going to be. very important to you. I think you also went to Frieze this week.
I did went to Frieze.
What do you make of it?
It was big.
Yes.
It was interesting. I've never been before. Yeah, it was really cool to see. I mean, I think before I knew what Frieze was, but I didn't really understand what Frieze was, and I didn't understand that there would be so much art there, and that it would be all of these different galleries bringing art to London. So it was really interesting to see that, and then kind of just see all of the topics that had been explored. Like there was a painting by a woman called Andrea Bowers, and it was Believe Women painting, and I just thought
very much of the moment.
Yeah, right now it's like, wow, that is dead on. You should believe women, and then.
Is it too big? I mean, Frieze is such an important event. I know that one of the problems that all things like that always face is scale, which is that it becomes such a big brand and physically such a big thing.
Yeah.
Does it lose its distinctiveness, or does it still have character?
I think for me it felt a bit overwhelming, but I think maybe it's just because I wasn't prepared for what I didn't know what to expect. But I think it's nice to have an opportunity to you can probably go there and spend a whole day there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And just walk around.
Probably the kind of thing you want to go back. Yeah, exactly.
So
I must make an effort to go. The other piece I really have enjoyed this week, he's someone I have so much time for, admired for many years, is Tom Cox, who we're both cat lovers, so we can talk with this. Has written wonderful and vivid and very unsentimental books about cats, but it's now moved on and wrote a wonderful book about rural life, 21st century yokel, and is about to publish a book of ghost stories. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, because people assume that the kind of culture we're interested in is very urban, very metropolitan, but I think what Tom shows is that there's a whole rural side to culture which is very interesting. Did you enjoy the piece?
I really enjoyed the piece. I thought it was interesting how he made the point that lots of people say they won't believe in ghosts, but then everyone has their own little ghost story that they've experienced in their life, which is so true. I mean, I think people like to think that they're very rational, but they also like to think that they've experienced something supernatural and exciting. So it's that kind of two-way street.
I think he's a very interesting writer. He's someone who, when I mentioned to people that he's interested in writing for us and now he's writing for us, they really he has a huge fan base out there, and of course that's because people love the cat books, but I don't think it's just that. I think it's partly because he writes the kind of pieces that we want to run, which are these very evocative and thoughtful, but they're always journeys, aren't they?
Yeah.
That Tom writes, and he's got a lot to say about music, so I'm really hoping he'll do more for the site, because he's just someone who I think brings such an imaginative dimension to his writing. I think Tom doesn't fit into perhaps the sort of traditional formatted newspaper writing. But
it's more of a story.
Exactly, those longer reads that really make you think. Now, looking ahead, over the weekend, what have we got lined up for the site?
We've got a piece by Hardeep on his
Hardeep Kohli, our in-house comedian and man of wisdom.
On his experience in Big Brother, which is very entertaining and kind of eye-opening. And then we've got a piece on with single women in literature, which will be very exciting.
Yes, I think that's both of those I'm looking forward to. And then next week we've got a whole series of pieces lined up about film. Don't want to say much about that too soon, because it's a rather sideways and interesting drugstore culture angle on film, which will lead off with a piece by Pete. But I hope people will visit the site on Monday and thereafter and see what we've got. What are you getting up to over the weekend? Anything interesting?
I am going to Sheffield.
Again, Sheffield.
Yeah, I'm going to Sheffield. Not to do anything particularly cultural. My friend is actually moving, and so she's moving abroad. So
my cultural weekend, I think I will go and see Venom, just to check it's not as just to check it's not as good as. But the other thing, which is slightly off beam, but actually it is culturally interesting, is Conor McGregor, the UFC fighter, is back after 2 years away from UFC, and he had the fight against Mayweather, which he did very well, and he's fighting Khabib, who's for the lightweight crown. And if you're into UFC, which I am, it's a very big thing. It means staying up till 5 in the morning on Saturday.
Wow.
So
dedication.
well, I think I'll probably set the alarm and get up, because the undercard is not so exciting.
Where is the match happening?
It's Las Vegas.
Ah, okay.
And no, he's an extraordinary figure. He's sort of really almost an entertainment figure now, as much as an athlete. And he put on a lot of weight after he had his last fight, so he'll have weight cut. But it's their biggest, I think, the biggest box office they've ever had. And to watch UFC grow into this big global thing has been quite extraordinary.
Yeah, it's quite huge now.
It is, no, it's absolutely vast. And MMA is now becoming one of the biggest sports in the world and in the UK too. So it's amazing how these things happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so have a good weekend, and we'll see you all next week, everyone.
Thank you.